Hey guys, I wanted to talk to y'all about a very important topic. Today I'm going to talk to y'all about PMS. No, not that PMS. Please get your heads out of the gutter. Come on. I'm talking about Phantom Menace Syndrome. So you're probably asking yourself, what is Phantom Menace Syndrome? Well, Phantom Menace Syndrome is when something in the media, whether it's a book, TV show, movie, song, whatever, was extremely popular at the time, but as time goes on, it starts to lose its popularity to the point to, as time goes even further on, it starts to become terrible. People don't like it anymore. This was coined by the fact that in 1999, when Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace came out, it was universally praised at the time. But as time went on, people started saying, well, it was okay. There was a lot of flaws in it. Then as time went on, they said, no, I don't like this. Then it goes all the way down to the bottom of the barrel. It's like, oh my, this is so terrible. I can't believe they made this. Sometimes I think that, in the media, sometimes we praise a movie for a while, but as time goes on, we kind of realize that it's not as good as we remember it. Maybe it's because of all the hype that was built up to it. And as soon as that hype wears off, it pretty much goes away. It dies with it, 25 years ago, a movie called An American Tale: Mystery of the Night Monster came out. And I was really hyped for that movie because it was already out in Europe and stuff. And it was delayed here in, the country that it was made in, the United States, because the previous movie, Treasure of Manhattan Island, was delayed 14 months. So they had to delay Mystery of the Night Monster as well. Well, anyway, the movie was released. I was excited for it, and I loved the movie at the time. I really thought it was a really good movie. But as time goes on, it's starting to be like, it's okay. I haven't really got down to the bottom of the barrel with the movie yet because I still consider the movie a fun movie. It's just sometimes I believe that some movies that we grew up with, when we grow up with specific movies, when we were young, we used to love it to death. But as time goes on, we start to realize, okay, it wasn't really that good, or man, why was I even into it? I think another example of that is Ren and Stimpy Adult Party Cartoon, which at the time I was kind of into TVMA rated shows at the time, and I just wanted to watch it because it was an edgy thing to do at the time. And I kind of, dare I say it, liked it. But as time went on, I was like, why did I even like this? To the point that I now regret it. It was that bad. And it doesn't help the matter that the creator of it, John Kricfalusi, was accused of grooming two of his fans, but I'm not even going to get into that. But anyway, I regretted that. And that was one perfect example of Phantom Menace Syndrome. Sometimes I think, when a movie comes out or a TV show or a video game comes out, we get so hyped for it. We get it immediately. We love it so much that we watch it over and over and over and over, or play it over and over. But as time goes on, you're kind of like, okay, it was okay. But then it starts to lose its luster. Some people could say that, we've grown up out of that. That's kids stuff, or, maybe part of that's true. Maybe it's because, as time goes on, we start to kind of realize, okay, it wasn't that great, but, we kind of think that, maybe because our minds were exploring, bigger and better things as time goes on. But one of the things is that even though there are some people out there that really like, really bad so-called bad movies, like The Room, for example. The Room was universally panned. But when people like the nostalgia critics started reviewing it, it started to somewhat become a hit. Not because it was good, because people loved to make fun of it because it was bad. It became a cult classic. A lot of people don't like... Street Fighter is a good example. A lot of people hate that movie. I liked the movie. Not because, it had a great story or anything. To me, it was kind of like a live-action G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero episode. That's the way I look at it. Considering the fact at the time, G.I. Joe was making Street Fighter movie figures. And that's kind of what it is, once you think about it. But I liked it because it was a fun movie. Raul Julia was good as Bison. Sad to say, it was one of his final films. But, I don't understand why they made Jean-Claude Van Damme, an American soldier, considering his accent is too thick. But the guy can throw punches and throw a lot of kicks, so I'll give him that. I think the thing is that when we talk about Phantom Menace Syndrome, it's like at the time when we get so excited for these movies, by the time they come out, you're like, oh man, that was the best movie ever. And then, 5 years, 10 years down the road, it was like, it wasn't as good as... It's like you kind of lose it over time. You don't have that same feeling like you did many years ago. It's also kind of getting into the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Anytime a movie comes out, everybody be ready to go see it. Now, after Endgame, everybody just gotten so tired of it because they keep making newer and newer movies when I feel like, it needs a proper ending. But, and to be honest, it's kind of hard to really keep up with the Marvel Cinematic Universe anymore. And it's starting to lose steam. And Phantom Menace Syndrome can affect even, franchises like that. Even Star Wars, even. Like when The Force Awakens came out in 2015. Everybody was excited to go see that movie. Everybody praised it. Everybody loved it. And sad to say, The Force Awakens is starting to slowly go down the same path as Phantom Menace. Probably because it's the first new Star Wars movie in 10 years at the time. And then when The Last Jedi came out and The Rise of Skywalker came out, more and more people started to really It's like Star Wars started to really go downhill. It's like when you oversaturate your franchise, you know, it doesn't make it as good as it used to be. You know, Jaws just turned 50. And it was considered a great hit, even nominated for Best Picture, I believe. But as time went on, they made Jaws 2, Jaws 3, Jaws 4, and every single one after that, they got worse and worse and worse. Superman suffered the same fate. When Superman 1 and 2 came out, they were great movies. But when Superman 3 came out, they added Richard Pryor to it to be more comical. It started to lose steam, and then by Superman 4, it was a train wreck. To the point they just quit making Superman movies for a while. Batman suffered the same fate. The Tim Burton movies were pretty good. The first one was a hit. Batman Returns got a lot of controversy from parents because it was too dark and too scary. And then when Joel Schumacher came in and tried to make it more lighthearted, they missed the whole point of what Batman was. They kind of made him more like the Adam West series. Kind of even with Batman and Robin. And I think was the last straw. So, over time, I guess, I think it's great if there's a movie out there that you really like, despite the fact that even though a lot of people may disagree with you, I just think, everybody has the rights to their own opinions and they have the rights to express in any way they want. But the thing is, you just have to kind of watch out because there are some people that take it more personally than they should, but that's not your problem. The thing is, if there's a movie out there that you really like, regardless of if you think it's the stupidest thing, if it brings you some kind of enjoyment, don't let anybody tell you that it's wrong to like the movie, because that's their problem, not yours. Granted, I'm not a film, I'm not what you call a connoisseur or whatever, where, I consider Citizen Kane the most, the greatest movie of all time and all that stuff. To be fair, I haven't really seen Citizen Kane, but I've heard it's pretty good. But, I grew up in a time where, Saturday morning television were basically, selling a lot of toys at the time. And I grew up with a lot of silly franchises. And a lot of them, anything to make money. And I can see why some people think over time that a movie can be good for a while, but then at the time it starts to slowly start going downhill. I think the thing to remember is it doesn't matter even if a movie goes into Phantom Menace Syndrome, suffers from Phantom Menace Syndrome, you should always, if you still like the movie, if it still brings you some kind of joy, then that's your right. Nobody on the internet, nobody out in the world can tell you cannot like a specific movie, TV show, or video game. Granted, you can grow out of, or you can start getting tired of it because we're human. Sometimes we get into something, for a while, but as time goes on, things change in your life. and you realize, I'm kind of tired of this and I want to move on to something else, you start to kind of lose it. And I think that's how a lot of franchises fall, because for a while Star Wars was a major thing, but now as time goes on, people are kind of moving on. And I see that with the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I see that with a lot of franchises. I think the thing to remember is that if you like a movie, don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Because, even if you don't have the same feeling as you did maybe 25 years ago, it's just best just to remember at the time it brought you joy, it brought you a smile on your face, it made you think, or it was just something to, entertain you for about an hour and a half, even if it's meaningless junk. Y'all have a good day.